Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. This one is another ramble video slash review, and it's on a CD I've wanted to talk about for a long time, and no pun intended. And this is definitely the best time, and I'll tell you why shortly. This is an album that I've been wanting to talk about since their 50-year anniversary tour that they did with Neil Finn and Mike Campbell when they joined, when Lindsay was unfortunately fired. And they did a song off this one on the tour, the first leg of the tour, called All Over Again, which is a Christine McVie composition. And yeah, so I wanted to make like a video on that ever since. And now that Mick Fleetwood has put out a solo song on his own called These Strange Times, it just came out last week. It's credited to Mick Fleetwood's Dadaism. And it's called These Strange Times. You should check it out. But that is actually just a newer version of the very last track off Time, also called These Strange Times. So they're, they're quite different. His delivery is a lot different, and the percussion is much more pronounced on the new version. But anyway, about this one, this is a contentious release, and I'm sure a lot of Mac fans don't own it, A. B, don't listen to it, and there are some people out there that like it, but not many. There's a lot of people go, this is the worst era of Fleetwood Mac, and the timing of this era was really bad. But for me personally, I just find it another interesting era of the group. I love all the facets of Fleetwood Mac. I love the old bluesy stuff, the first couple records, and then they went a little more experimental with Peter at the end there. And I love that era of stuff, and then the Jeremy Spencer, Danny Kirwan, into the Danny Kirwan, yada yada yada. It would take me a couple more minutes to name all the lineups. But yeah, I find every era has something really interesting to offer, and as long as Mick and John are there, because they're the namesake of the band and the rhythm section holding it down, as long as they're there, I'm interested, I'll listen, and I'll appreciate. Now, I think the time I discovered Fleetwood Mac, in 05, 06. I'd always known them thanks to my parents playing the dance a lot around the house. So I'd always known them, but I discovered them then for myself and became a fan, and just quickly wanted to, digest everything by them. I wanted to buy it all, listen to it all. And I think Time was the very last one I bought. I bought in a local record store. It was obviously used, you can see the used sticker, and I bought it just so that I would have all the discs on CD, and I've bought all the vinyl, but this one isn't out on vinyl. Yeah, I really didn't like it. I thought it was pretty flat. I don't really remember liking any of the material. I think I liked Sooner or Later, and I was kind of intrigued by These Strange Times. But I remember not really liking it. If I would have had to rate it back then, I probably would have given it a 2 out of 5. And it was definitely what I would call the worst Fleetwood Mac album. And I remember specifically hating Blow by Blow, which is too bad because it's Dave Mason, and saying, okay, that's the worst Fleetwood Mac song. And I remember declaring that when I joined Last FM, or Audio Scrobbler it was called then, and they said, name your least favorite track by your favorite band, or something like that. That was the poll. And I think Pink Floyd and Fleetwood Mac were both my favorites, but I couldn't really think of a Pink Floyd song that I hated. Like, there's some weird stuff off Amagama, but I couldn't really think of one. So I'm like, okay, Fleetwood Mac, Blow by Blow, that song blows. And but yeah, I don't know, I think 5, 6, 7 years ago, I listened to this again, and I was actually kind of intrigued by it, and I actually Really liked the production. The only thing that really sounds dated to me is the keyboard playing on Christine McVie's composition, on her compositions. That's probably the only choice I'm kind of against, but I actually find this era really underrated, and I know that the tour was a mess, and I've seen a full show from that tour on YouTube, and there's some good moments, but there's also some shaky moments, and you can tell the crowd's not really digging it all the way, and that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, the whole circumstances to this record, because I think it would have been, it's tough to say. It would have been more, I don't know, more revered, like more people would have taken to it more if Lindsay and Stevie hadn't been in the group. I don't know, if circumstances were different, it would have been interesting. It could have actually been something. Like, it could have, if it didn't come out as Fleetwood Mac, I think people would have liked it more. I'll try to stop blinding you there. So it starts with Talkin' to My Heart, which is a Billy Burnett composition, and him and Becca sing lead on this one. And Billy Burnett was a holdover from the last era, Behind the Mask, which was Billy, Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie, and Rick Vito. And slowly Stevie left, and then Rick left, and it was just Billy and Christine and John and Mick. And I think they shot Love Shines when it was just the four-piece, which was kind of interesting, the video for that, rather. And so Billy's a holdover from that era, and so him and Becca sing Talking to My Heart, and I think that might be the highlight. It's the second single. It's got amazing vocals, especially from, well, Becca, I don't know, a lot of people really hate Becca because she's, kind of filling in for Stevie, but really she's her own thing. She has a very interesting voice. A lot of people don't think it gels with Fleetwood Mac, and they could be right, but I think it works, and I think she did great work with Mick on the Zoo, their kind of hair metal band. It's not really hair metal, it's kind of like hard rock in the early 90s group. Very underrated record they put out called Shakin' the Cage. So they did good work there, and she's got some pipes. She's Donnie and what are their names? Donnie and Bramlett or something? Donnie, I gotta look this one up. A very well-known duo that Eric Clapton worked with, and she's their daughter, and she's got pipes, and she works Delaney and Bonnie Bramlett, so she's their daughter. They were active from 67 to 72. They did a cool live album with Eric Clapton, which I really liked, which that's why it bothers me I couldn't remember their name. So she's their daughter. But yeah, that's a great track. It was the second single, went absolutely nowhere. So it starts off with that. Richard Dashett's production is amazing. I like Fleetwood's playing on it. Yeah, it's a great song, actually. Very underrated, like the rest of this. Hollywood Some Other Kind of Town, that's the Christine McVie song, and it's surprisingly almost 6 minutes. And I rarely say this, I almost never say this because I like long songs, but I don't think it has to be that long. I feel like they get to this one chorus and it could probably stop there. It's probably around 4:30 or something like that, but then it just keeps going and going. And I really don't see why they didn't edit it a bit more, especially a band like this. And I like long songs. I love, In the Back of My Mind from the album prior. I love 21-minute songs by like ELP and Genesis and Pink Floyd, but I don't think this song had to be quite that long. So that's a nice little song. I like that one. So Blow by Blow, I mentioned that one. I I actually like it now. I think it rocks. I love Dave Mason. I like his first solo record a lot. I like his work in Traffic. He's a good guy, and he was like Becca, wrong place, wrong time. A lot of people really don't like him with the Mac. Um, but Blow by Blow, it feels like if it didn't come out in 95, if it came out in 85, I think it could have been a hit. It's catchy. Well, it's Blow by Blow. And the only criticism I have towards the track is that the synths sound kind of dated for 95. But if I listen to it and forget it came out in 95, I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy it anyway, but yeah, the synths sound kind of dated for 1995, and I think they just put them in there because Christine was not there for the track. She did not want any part of Dave Mason. Something happened, and she just hated him. So she wasn't touring with the group at the time, and she would refuse to play on Dave Mason's compositions, and she did not want him on hers. So Dave is missing from the Christine songs, and Christine is missing from... So it's not a good scene. I would really like to know exactly what went down, because, I don't know, Christine just seems so... She seems like she always tied the eras together, like... I don't know, she kind of seemed like the reasonable, level-headed one, so he must have really done something. Or maybe not. Dave seems like a chill guy. I don't know what went down. But, yeah, so they added those synths in, and, yeah, the synthesizer bit, it does seem dated for 1995. But if this came out in 85 and was released as a single, and maybe not a Fleetwood Mac single, if it was like Dave Mason featuring Mick Fleetwood and John or something, could have been a hit. I don't know. It's catchy. I really like it. So I've really turned around on that one. Winds of Change is next, and this is where we go a little more AOR. It's a really nice song, very nicely sung by Becca. I believe it's a cover, or I know that someone else wrote it at least. So yeah, so that's a good one. Seeing if I can bring that up, if it's a cover or not. This is very professional. I believe someone just wrote it. Someone else wrote it for them. If you know, you can leave a comment. I Do is next, so the second Christine McVie composition, and this was actually the first single, and it again went nowhere, like I said about the second single, but in Canada it charted, but it didn't chart in the States at all. And this is the sole song representing this era from the Don't Stop 50 Years box set. They put I Do on there, and I think they remastered it. It sounded really good. It's a nice little tune, definitely. I'm not going to say it's like Christine's best or anything. It doesn't compare to the tango stuff, but it's a nice tune. I still really like it. It's an easy 4 out of 5. It's very catchy, well produced. Nothing Without You's next, and this one kind of, you know, it rocks. They're not rocking out or anything, but it's way more up-tempo. It's kind of nice after Winds of Change and I Do, is to have a more rockin' tune, pace-wise. Interestingly, this is, Becca is the lead, and you can hear Billy on it, but Lindsey Buckingham does backing vocals on it. You can hear him. So a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't know that he played acoustic guitar on the record prior called Behind the Mask. So even though he, like, was not part of those eras and seemed like he wanted nothing to do with those eras, he still did make a solid and came and did backing vocals. It's really weird. So that means he has been somewhere or other on every Fleetwood Mac record since the 75 eponymous record, the self-titled White Album one. So yeah, because in the 90s it seemed like he really wanted to do the Out of the Cradle stuff, which is amazing. And it seemed like he didn't want anything to do with the big machine, as he calls it, Fleetwood Mac. And he even said some kind of mean things about Mick Mostly Mick, yeah. But yeah, here he is. He appears here. Weird. And yeah, you can definitely tell it's his voice, which is great. So that makes a great song even better, in my opinion. Dream in the Dream is next, and that's a nice little number. It's very mellow, and that's Becca again. Next is I Wonder Why, which is the second and final of the Dave Mason-led stuff, and I really like that one. It's again, it's really catchy. I really like the chorus. Becca's backing vocals. She is a great session musician, and she backs people up great. Like, I can see why she did a lot of session work, because it kind of feels like when she's singing backing for Billy or Dave that she is a session musician. She was definitely a full member of this era of Fleetwood Mac, but I definitely compliment her work, her vocals, her performance, her backing vocals. Yeah, she sounds great. Nights in Estoril is next, which is another Christine McVie song. Oh, I skipped Sooner or Later, which is before I Wonder Why. Sooner or Later is a big standout. It's one of my favorite post Tango in the Night Christine songs. So it's up there with Sky's the Limit and Behind the Mask and Love Shines, Heart of Stone. She did still do a lot of great ones after Tango, but Tango felt like it was maybe her peak, and her work on that record is incredible, but we can't forget that she did some amazing stuff for the group after, and solo, but mostly in Fleetwood Mac. And off this record, if you had to, ask me what my favorite one off the record is, definitely Sooner or Later. It's got this very kind of progressive song structure. It's got this long intro, and it's got this great kind of European sounding, what would you call that? Like a bridge, instrumental bridge. It's a very interesting track, and it's actually only 3 seconds shorter than Hollywood, which I was complaining is maybe a little too long. I would not say that for Sooner or Later. Sooner or Later definitely fulfills the whole almost 6-minute runtime. Yeah, it's the third longest song on the record, and yeah, it definitely, my thoughts are not wandering during the song. It's a great song. So that's a Christine McVie highlight. I really like that one a lot. So yeah, and then I Wonder Why, and then Nights in Estoril, which is another great Christine composition. Sorry, I just got an alert there. And then it's I Got It In For You is next. That's definitely, a lot of people go like, oh, Fleetwood Mac went too country on here, and there's definitely a twang on a couple of the songs, but these aren't country songs, but this is definitely the most country sounding one, I Got It In For You, and that's Becca and Billy working together, and they cut a record after this whole era imploded, and Lindsay and Stevie came back, and Christine came back to tour. Yeah, thankfully Becca and Billy went out on their own and cut a solo album together, so like a duet album, I guess you would say. And I believe it's just called Billy and Becca. But I'm glad they still work together. They work together so well, and it's just a shame that, it didn't work out commercially, and the tour kind of flopped too. So there's not much to say about that one. It's just a fun little number. It's probably the least consequential one off the album, but I don't have a complaint about it. It's fine. And then All Over Again is it feels like it maybe should be the last track, but it's kind of like Christine's last song on Tusk. It kind of feels like the finisher. And I think they were finishing out the tour that they did a year or two ago with this track for the first leg, and I was so looking forward to seeing them do it in Vancouver, and then they didn't do it. The song was dropped. They dropped Hypnotized and All Over Again, and I was like, oh, those were two that I was looking forward to seeing the most, because I'd never seen the band do either song when Lindsay was with them and that. So I thought, okay, Lindsay's my hero, but I'm really stoked to see them do something from Time and something from Mystery to Me from the amazing Bob Welch catalog. And then they didn't do either. I think because I don't know if they just wanted their set to be shorter, or if it was because the audience, Fleetwood Mac audiences are kind of rough, and they don't respond well to if it's not one of the big hits, or it's not off one of the Rumors 5 records, that's what I call them, the 75 to 87 era, where it is the all-star Lindsay, Stevie, Christine. Yeah, people don't respond well to it. I saw the audience reaction to Hypnotized, and I was watching videos before we went to go see them, and for me, it's like, yes, Hypnotized. Like, I would have been like, woo, like really, really stoked and excited and singing along, but people were just they just started to talk. And, it's funny, Fleetwood Mac are one of the America's most famous rock and roll bands, and probably sales-wise second to only the Eagles. But people go to their concerts and kind of just talk and drink, and they don't, unless Stevie's singing, Dreams or Sarah or something, people are not paying attention. And we always used to watch people basically just step out for a beer or start talking or sit down and go on their phone, even when Lindsay's doing like I Know I'm Not Wrong or something, or a Christine number, and then they act all, I think it's just, maybe it's the Stevie fans or something. Anyway, that used to drive me crazy, and I think that's probably why All Over Again was dropped, because people thought, what's this? Oh, I'm not going to pay attention. And people don't like the unknown. That's what my concert-going self has taught me. I'm there for everything. If I'm a fan of your band, you're going to have my undivided attention for 90 minutes, 2 hours, or if you're playing for 3 hours, I'll rock out with you for 3 hours. I love all the stuff, the obscure stuff. I actually like when bands do the obscure stuff more than their hits, because, I love Fleetwood Mac, I love all the eras, but, Go Your Own Way, I've heard that enough. And, I crank that when I listen to or watch The Dance, because that's an amazing performance, 10 out of 10. But I'm not really going out of my way to, see Go Your Own Way again. Because I like this more obscure stuff, I guess. I don't know. So All Over Again, yeah, nice little number. Such a shame that they didn't play it when we saw them. And then the finisher track is These Strange Times, which kind of reminds me of this song that they cut, I believe, in the late 80s. I could be wrong, excuse me, but it's called Lizard People. And that's a really weird Mick song where he just talks through it about these lizard people. And yeah, and definitely not a mainstream song. There's a reason why it didn't end up on an album. But These Strange Times is a song he wrote, and it's obviously about Peter Green, because he had his friend, some say he's a man of the world, that's a Peter Green Fleetwood Mac song, and just the strange times that he was caught in, and the song references being caught between the dark and the light, and how a lot of people, we make the decision to get out of that. He says this is hell, caught between the world of the dark and the light, and the decision a lot of people make is to get out of that place, that dark place, whereas someone like Peter was caught in that place and couldn't get out, and people flounder, and they have to toil in that hell on earth, I guess. You're kind of lost in this darkness. And And it was a cool, daring song to put on a mainstream record that was supposed to sell. This did not sell. But to have the brand Fleetwood Mac and put this out, this kind of experimental long 7-minute composition, which is almost progressive but spoken word, but very kind of dark subject material. That was ballsy, but I guess that's Mick. I don't know. But a lot of people go, "Oh, I hate that one," or "It's too different," or whatever. It's interesting. I like it. So that one, interestingly enough, something happened that I never thought would happen, and Mick Fleetwood dusted off These Strange Times because now it has another meaning. It's got the Peter Green meaning, and Peter Green, he just passed away, rest in peace. But it's also got a different meaning because we're in these COVID times, and that's the definition of strange times, right? The Gorillaz can tell you that. They just put out a song called Strange Times, which is amazing, with Robert Smith. But yeah, so he put out that song, and I don't know if I heard about it on Twitter or Facebook or if I got an email because I'm on his mailing list. But I woke up and it's like new Mick Fleetwood track. What? Like, I love Mick Fleetwood's solo stuff. And he's done sporadically different groups throughout the years. A blues group, a pop group, an African experiment, the hard rock zoo stuff. But then to have in 2020 Mick Fleetwood release his new song and video, These Strange Times, it's like, wow, that's off Time. I know that song. Let's see how it differs. And how I would say it differs is it's longer. The production is probably better. It's got this cool introduction where it's very African. There's chanting, there's big drums, very percussive. The drums are definitely given a lot more power and more at the forefront than in this more produced 1995 version. Rick Vito plays guitar on it, which is amazing. That's a callback to the Behind the Mask era with Billy and Rick. And I saw Rick play with Mick. They played in Mick Fleetwood's blues band at a university in town. It was the last show of a tour. Mick had never come here, and that was just amazing. Incredible show. They did lots of blues stuff, some Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac stuff, and Rick's got chops. And if he ever comes solo, I would definitely go see Rick. Yeah, I love Rick Vito. So Rick plays guitar, and there's a really cool kind of solo in it. And yeah, I think I said this already, but it's a very progressive sounding song. And I don't know, the spoken word gets you thinking. Unlike Lizard People. I love Lizard People because it's just batshit crazy. But it doesn't make you go, or, that's an interesting thought. It kind of makes you go, what the? Like, what are you smoking, Mick? We are the Lizard People. Check it out if you're interested. It's crazy. But definitely check out These Strange Times first, because it's probably better. I don't know. Subjective? Yeah. But, yeah, These Strange Times, the Mick Fleetwood Dadaism version, you're getting kind of a twofer, because you get the Time review. I like Time. That's the review. And then you get the track review. So Mick Fleetwood's Dadaism, These Strange Times. What are some other discernible differences? It's very different, and I read a lot of people saying I like the old version better, which wasn't too disheartening. It just kind of made me think, cool, people do actually know that version. There are other people listening to Time, or at least that song. Like, that's cool enough for me. For me, I don't know, when I first listened to the new version, I thought it was kind of average. I didn't really like it. I liked the intro a lot with the African chanting and the drums and everything, but I was kind of lukewarm, I was kind of right in the middle on what I thought about it. I've listened a few times since, and every time I like it more, and now I would just say, yeah, I like it. And I actually struggle to think, do I like the new version or do I like the old Time version? So yeah, I mean, it's worthwhile right there if I can't decide which one I like better. They both have their strengths, I guess. You know, mix. Okay, so quick edit there because the memory filled up again, which I seem to be very subject to. Yeah, so basically final thoughts is, you know, you should check out the new version of These Strange Times. And yeah, just give this another listen if you were one of the people that hated on it. I am going to say something very controversial, but I actually like this record more than Behind the Mask. Because I like Behind the Mask quite a bit, especially the first half of the record. But I don't really like the production. It doesn't really have any punch. It doesn't really sound like the classic Fleetwood Mac anymore. It kind of sounds more muddy. It kind of sounds more AOR. It's got less of a dynamic range and, like I said, a punch to it. Whereas this, it's not Lindsay and Stevie anymore, but it's produced as well as those records, I would say. Well, maybe not quite as well. Lindsay always added his stuff and just made it amazing, like just heavenward. But Richard's production on this, Richard Dashit, really makes it for me. And, you know, I would just say to people, give it another listen because, like I said at the start of this, I bought this and it was the last Fleetwood Mac CD I had to add to my collection. And I really didn't like it at all. And then slowly I started to warm up to it, and each listen I liked it a little more. And now I like it. I unironically really like this record. So yeah, just, you know, people give it another shot. You don't have to buy it. It's on Spotify. It's probably on a lot of those other music streaming services. Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? It's just different. Each era of Fleetwood Mac is just different. There's just different things to offer, different songwriters, different singers. Yeah. I think that pretty much sums up all I have to say about Time. I think it was just unfairly maligned, and I think every era of Fleetwood Mac that doesn't have Stevie in it and doesn't have Lindsay in it always gets unfairly, yeah, maligned, like I said. And I'm not saying the world should be like me and enjoy every era. You shouldn't force yourself to enjoy stuff that you don't enjoy, but, you know, just give things a chance is basically what I wanted to sum up by saying. So that's been Andy Rambles on Time, and also a track review for These Strange Times, because it just came out. So check that out too. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I definitely rambled, but I just think that, you know, things like this could be up for, you know, more of a re-evaluation. So, you know, rock on. And yeah, we'll be talking more about some Fleetwood Mac. I've got a ranking I want to do. I've got an underrated songs thing I want to do. And yeah, I think that's all for now, though. So peace out, everyone. Peace and love. Stay safe. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. All right, adios.